Welcome back, everybody. And for our last game of the day, round 21, we are going to dip our toes back into the Collins division and a fantastic matchup coming your way. Two countrymen, the old guard, I guess you could say. I hesitate to say that because he's not much older than me. Wellington Jighere, our former World Scrabble champion, against the relative youngster Enoch Nwali. A great matchup. These two have likely played. I know they actually, Jason Idalski, joining me for the fourth straight game. They just played a long match together in preparation for this tournament. I can only imagine how many games these two have played in their careers.
I can only imagine how many games these two can fit in a day as fast as both of them play. It was probably I have marathon sessions where we can fit in 16 in a day, but these guys could probably get to at least 25. Meanwhile, very interesting opening rec for Enoch here. There are no bingos, even in the Collins lexicon, which we are playing. So seems like a choice between mu or Yeah, the exchange of M and the three O's has gone downhill as you sim this. So
yeah,
the problem with mu is it takes all those hooks and none of which you have. So maybe do you go for that reason?
Takes a bunch of hooks that you don't have as well. So you kind of have the same problem with both of those plays. I guess interesting question of where to place the word if you're going to play one of these. I'm sure that Enoch is grappling with that right now. Standard spot to play a three-letter word is usually right here. But I'm wondering if slotting it somewhere here, if you play mu here, is that good because you keep the other M, and almost no matter what Wellington plays on top or below your play, you're going to have the M to re-overlap with a good play. Mam, mem, mim, mom, and mum. No, I am not speaking in tongues. I'm just listing out all the three-letter words that contain two M's. So could be an interesting place to place the word, Jason.
Yeah, and especially with Wellington having the X there, I don't know. Doesn't look like there's really anything you can do that doesn't slot it, except for memo, which I don't think you're ever going to play drawing into 00 blank.
Yeah, makes sense. Wellington probably hoping that Enoch exchanges, which it looks like he exchanges just 00, keeping the two M's. Very interesting choice. I feel like when you do hit a bingo holding the two M's, maybe it scores a little bit better, but that is not your sort of garden variety choice to make on that move, Jason.
Yeah, that is very outside the box. And what do you think of that? I mean, I get that it's better than just putting 00 on the board, but I still feel like 00M or was better.
Yeah, and this is even more interesting. After an exchange 2, Wellington eschewing Oxland, which he clearly saw, for 44 points, and instead playing the much cagier Ox for only 18. That looks like a great adjustment to Enoch's short exchange, but man, that is a lot of points to give up. Admittedly, though, Jason, you are not putting all these fantastic tiles to play through, but I don't know. I feel like you still get a lot of bingos down on the board after just Ox. I think I would still have elected to take the points if I'm Wellington, but I think this is a play with merit.
I am basically 100% in agreement with you, where after an opponent, especially an opponent of Enoch's caliber exchanges too, I'm just assuming that the bingo is coming down. Now, you play Oxland, you feel dumb when, he plays a bingo to the D that would have been an orphan otherwise, like a rack that makes no sevens and doesn't make an 8 through the O or the X. But I think on the whole, I think all you're really doing is just costing yourself, 20 whatever points. Now I understand that, maybe it's double doubles through the L. Maybe you're giving his bingo a lot more points, but that seems, a little over defensive to me. But obviously Wellington, knowing, he's forgotten more about Scrabble than I will ever know, so I will cede to him on that. And meanwhile, Enoch does play the bingo with Momenta.
Yeah, a bunch of options there for the bingo, and this one is going to give back a counter to Wellington, either unelated, which he is getting set to play, he sees it instantaneously, or unannealed through the N of Momenta, that blank on the board being an N, of course. Wellington taking the higher scoring of the two. I think it makes total sense that he would do that. And we're off to the races as both players exchanging bingos after a very cagey start to the game of an exchange 2 and then ox. The bingos are flying, and we'll see if they continue to fly. Enoch's rack doesn't look like it's that close to another bingo, though, Jason.
And maybe that was part of the thought process behind Ox. Basically, no matter what Enoch does, the board is going to be open. There's going to be floaters. And if you draw into Leyden, maybe Wellington correctly predicted that after Ox, the two of them are probably just going to trade bingos, which is what happened.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Keeping that nice bingo lead that Wellington kept after Ox. But Enoch now, 2 O's, the G and the V. It seems like he is very, very likely to play Gov here, which does so many of the things that you want to do in this position. You want to use up at least 1 O, and you probably want to use up your V and G. This looks like just what the doctor ordered. Fully expect that to go down. It even sets up your S in multiple directions on a board where it already had one decent spot for it. Now you got 2. So looks great to me.
Yeah, it's only great because the L in unelated, he could not quite play Volost through it. Otherwise, he should have played Volost. But
true.
Yeah, I once played GOV in an NWL game, and so now I will never forget that GOV is the Collins only one, and VOG is the NWL one. But,
that has to be one of the more frequent phonies to be played. Phony threes.
Yeah, and that's what I challenged it, and he's like, I don't know how you keep the word straight. I said, well, clearly I don't, since I just play GOV. So
yes, yeah. That's
meanwhile,
one.
Wellington also with a tricky rack of his own here.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting set to potentially play Valine through, or into, I should say, the E of unelated. Could play Viral in the same spot, leaving AN using both of his eyes. I feel like that might be slightly superior unless there's a particular reason that he wants to keep the R. I think I would always rather shed the eyes. And is he going to reverse direction on us? No, he's going to play Valine, 26 points. Maybe a slight inaccuracy unless he's got a reason we're not thinking of, Jason. AN versus IR in the lead for the same score.
Yeah, especially because two A's on the board, no I. That would seem to point more in Viral's favor. This draw will be interesting. It'll be one of those that if he hits the bingo that he wouldn't have hit otherwise, then it's just another sign of Wellington's greatness. Meanwhile, Diglots for Enoch did just block Godlius, but Diglots playing on either side of Mog there.
Yeah, this is interesting. Where to place this word? It's these tiny little nuanced decisions that are really kind of the soul of Scrabble at this level. And I feel like the players are going to be grappling with those quite a bit. I guess if you imagine Diglots on the board right here, you've got an I right underneath the double. Maybe you don't want to do this with the Q out, makes an easy spot. And indeed, it looks like Enoch is going to play it up high, where I feel like the risk of a power tile coming down from Wellington feels a little bit less. I feel like those two plays are as close as it gets, Jason, but I think I would favor this one. Also note the D out in space, higher on the board. A D further down on the board is much easier to bingo into for your opponent. Could also be a factor.
Yeah, good analysis right there. A lot like unelated. a lot more words are going to bingo to the D than from the D. So I agree with you that this is probably a slightly better placement.
So Wellington, as has been pointed out in the YouTube chat, has a bingo through the G, which feels like a tough one to spot if you're just anagramming. Some of these compound words can be difficult to come up with if they don't pop right into mind, especially because the word in question, showgirl, has an S at the beginning of the word. You would normally want to put that at the end. You might also be looking for, oh no, is he thinking about growlish? Maybe he's thinking, I know there's a word in those letters and I can't figure out what it is, so it must be growlish. That could be a big swing if he pulls the trigger on that. Not sure what else he could be considering here. Could be a big inflection point, Jason.
Yeah, could be a classic nut, but not growlish, but showgirl. And yeah, we've I'm sure you've been in that position too, where you write out the alphagram. You're like, I know there's an 8 in here. I've seen this rack. I know there's an 8 in here, but you just can't find it. And especially with the G being wide open there, like if there's something, it's almost certainly going to play. Now it looks like he's considering Rosh. I'm not sure where that would go.
I think the other letters are Wally. I think
he's okay. He's looking at Wally down there. Yeah.
Yeah, which has
among non-bingo options, Woe on top of Momenta, the WOAH spelling. Actually, it looks like a pretty good option, but it looks like World.
Whoa, what's he going for here? I'm not even sure.
World-ish, I guess, would be a plausible phony.
World-ish. He's put the W down. It looks like he's agonizing here. Yeah, look at that body language on his part. He clearly doesn't love this, or else it would probably be on the board already. World-ish would definitely get a challenge from Enoch, whose word knowledge is absolutely stellar. He has some of the best word knowledge you will see in the entire tournament, any division. Yeah, let's see. All right, we're going back to Wally. So Showgirl does escape Wellington's notice here. That is a bit of a big swing. It would have been nice for him to dump some of that clunk off the rack and score 82 points for the bingo. We'll see how much it costs him here going forward. I think it left you muted there, Jason.
Yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's one way to remember Showgirl when he analyzes this game, either immediately after or next week sometime. Chin through the eye for Enoch, keeping a very nice leave. And now back to Wellington, who has, unfortunately for him, doubled his H's.
Yeah, the H, a tile that normally we welcome onto our rack. It's a nice, flexible scoring tile. It meshes very well with some other good bingo tiles like the S and the C, but any tile in a Scrabble context, in general, there are obviously going to be exceptions, but any tile usually doesn't benefit that much from duplication. So Wellington, already with an H in hand, probably doesn't want to see the other one there. But he should be able to score something with it. He has HOH set up. I'm not 100% sure. That is a valid Collins word. Not sure where he wants to play that. I guess it's possible he will play HOGH, hog. That is a valid word. Might look to play that. He would retain his S to play smog, but look at that. All the S's are present and accounted for. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's definitely a lot going on here. And Enoch probably looking to play Fearless or Fresia's. It looks like Enoch is right on the cusp of bingoing again. But is this play going to block everything, Jason? Mike again. Let me see here.
Yeah, I don't see anything through the O or the
Oh,
D.
it still fits. Look at that.
Oh, now it's just 4 overlaps.
Amazing. It still
3
fits.
overlaps.
I didn't see that. And Fearless even fits on the other side, actually. Both of those words still fit. Fearless and Fresia's. So
I
that
think
is
Fearless is
the
probably a little bit better. I don't know if you want to be throwing the F in the triple lane for one extra point. But
true. Yeah, I feel like maybe just a matter of being thankful that one of the two still fits, right? If I'm in Enoch's shoes there, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, thank goodness I can still play Fresia's. I'm sure the other one doesn't still fit. It's almost
yeah,
impossible to imagine that both of your bingos even still fit. But there they
yeah,
do. And what?
yeah. Is Corbina's the only playable?
Let's see. It looks like it may
I
well
feel like
be.
yeah, it
Yes,
is. And
it
Fearless would have
is.
blocked it.
Wow. Crazy. So Fearless probably better positionally to avoid putting an F in a triple lane, but in fact, it would have worked better in this weird specific case of blocking Corbina's. But Enoch is going to come right back with another bingo, I believe, of Gurdwara, which is unbelievable. The word knowledge on display right here is very, very impressive. And look, it's just coming down instantaneously. That's the only available bingo for Enoch. And
Wellington
down it
has
goes.
an insane find that fast, but Wellington has Rufia through the F,
Oh my gosh,
which is
that's
a way to. He's going to score a bunch out of a terrible, terrible rack.
yeah, so it might. So if I'm in Wellington shoes, I might just look at this G and play Ugary. You can actually play Yugarie, but he has the patience to look through that F and he sees it. This is another. The words are flying here in this game pretty fast. I guess we're gonna get a nice early dinner at this rate, Jason.
Well, I think we kind of knew that was going to happen with Enoch and Wellington, regardless. But yeah, it's been a long tournament for you anchoring the whole way. So appreciate you
Oh,
housing all this coverage on your channel and taking the lead for every single round.
I mean, it's a coup for me. We have an amazing staff behind the scenes doing the lion's share of the work. I just get to sit in the chair where I'm told and talk about the Scrabble games that I'm watching. This is a pretty easy gig as far as I'm concerned. I'm making out like a bandit here. So it's all good. Enoch with an F now on his rack. This is kind of interesting because this looks like easily the best scoring spot for Enoch, but I would want to cover this spot too if I could. I guess this one is dangerous enough that, yeah, you just got to take your 40 odd points, hope that Wellington doesn't have anything big through this G, and you're going to be just fine. Is there even anything palatable? Would you ever play Potage through this G just to prevent the worst case scenario? I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty bad scenario. As you can see, Wellington has Kier, which is going to score a boatload of points, making Elk. Tough call, but I think just plopping your F down is good, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you ever feel uncomfortable with an 81-point lead? You're playing Wellington and the board is this wide open. That's how.
Just don't play Zoa. Just don't play Zoa. No Zoa. You're good.
So yeah, ended up blocking here, but certainly seemed to be the right play regardless. Obviously difficult to keep that G open. I don't know if he's got anything better than Geeky. It looks like that's what he wants to do, and that was certainly what I saw at first glance. But yeah, Kier would have been really bad for Enoch, whereas he can survive Geeky.
Yeah, Geeky should come down. Wellington definitely in huge trouble overall in this game as Enoch playing a slew of bingos, Momenta, Diglots, Fresias, and Gurdwara. 4 of them, if we're counting, which we are. So just off to the races from the jump in this game for him. But he's going to have to slow down with OOIII on his rack. So is it possible that Wellington can take advantage of that with a great draw here? That's what he needs. He does have Enteron now on his rack. I'm not 100% sure I see an immediate spot where that's going to play. Picot, I'm not sure how to say, goes down into the, looks like I entered feta instead of feet. So I got to fix that real quick. Feet, Geeky, and Pickett. This looks like a good block, I suppose, although there are no S's left. So there actually isn't a major threat in the form of like feet going down. But I guess the actual threat was this line under the A of Gurdwara, Jason. That might be what he's thinking to block.
Yeah, I thought it was a little interesting, feet versus feta. I guess it's, probably pretty, pretty negligible. Feet does allow like extensions, featured, if we do have featured available in the pool. Stuff like that. I'm sure there was a reason for it. I'm just not quite sure. Not quite sure what it was. Meanwhile, like you say, the Entron Tanner has no home, so Wellington down 100, and Will, how do you see Wellington keeping his winning hopes alive here?
It does seem like it's going to be tough, and I was a little slow on the uptake, maybe a little blank blindness here, but yeah, Wellington was getting set to play his 7-letter word here, so Enoch's block was very timely in that regard, stopping him from getting that bingo down. That gets him so much closer in the game. As it is, though, if you're looking around the board, if I'm Wellington, I know that this spot of the bottom of the board is where all the bingo action is going to be. I would love to open something somewhere higher up on the board, but just there are so few spots where 7 tiles can even play at the top of the board. You're literally looking at just like through the R with an insane number of overlaps. That's it. Other than that, the action is all on the bottom. So I guess I really don't even know what you're supposed to do if you're Wellington, because you can't really productively open more space here. You do run the risk as soon as this tile gets used up. If you were to play something like Cone, if you're Wellington, and try to draw the last D from the bag, a play down from this A, it would yield bingos back, but those bingos would score nothing in response. So it's going to be very easy, no matter what Wellington does, for Enoch to potentially score well and just shut everything down. So very grim scenario. I guess what you would point to for Wellington would be a different game had he played Showgirl.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, if Wellington does play something on the right side of the board, trying to open it up, Enoch has kibitz for 80 from that K. So yeah, this could be game over pretty quick right here, even if he plays down from the A. But yeah, it's got to be so frustrating to look at the top of the board, and I think you noticed it before I did, that you can't even open anything up there. There's just no way to put 7 tiles down in a row. So close to having Enteron fit off of Rufia, but that Q in Chin kind of gets in the way. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do here either, and the fact that Wellington is taking so long on this turn means that he is trying to figure out how to keep his winning chances alive. Quackless was given something like a 3-4% chance with the top plays here, and that seems incredibly high with this board configuration.
Yeah, that seems ambitious, which says a lot when we're talking about 3% win feeling ambitious. That's how you know you're in bad shape. But overall, Wellington is still doing very well in the tournament. If we consider the full standings of the Collins division, we have spent a lot of time over in NWL today. But going into this round, Wellington is in 3rd place at 14-6, behind David Whitley, also at 14, but with better spread, and Josh Castellano, 15-5 atop the standings. And those 3 are actually a couple games ahead of their next closest competitors. So it's going to take a bit of an effort for anybody further down in the standings, that includes Enoch Nwali, if they want to overtake those 3 going forward. But that is why we play 31 rounds, Jason. Still a whole bunch of Scrabble to go.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting finish, and in CSW, and something tells me that that you'll be spending a lot of time streaming that for the rest of the tournament. Great field with Josh and Wellington and Alex Seaholm, former North American champion, up there as well.
Yeah, you just look at the list and it's kind of crazy to really survey it. You've got people like Dave Wiegand as well, Josh Sokol, Rob Rabinski, a fantastic player, former world champion, Joel Wapnick, 12-time Pakistani champion, Wasim Khatri in 17th place, defending champion Edakaro in 22nd place. We're really getting into some crazy stuff here. Ben Schoenbrunn in second to last in this division, somebody that has won the World Cup before. That he must be drawing insanely bad to justify that. Not to put him on blast. Sorry, Ben, one of my best friends in Scrabble. But yeah, that is insane to see. So it's a pretty stacked deck over there in both of the top divisions, frankly. So yeah, what can you say when you got all those players in one place? Somebody has to lose the games, and if you don't draw the stuff to work with, or if you aren't on your absolute A game, it could easily be you, no matter how good you are.
Yeah, well said. When you put that many world-class players in a field, like, somebody's got to lose, and it seems that I think Ben actually said that he's not playing that terribly. Just just having one of those tournaments that we've all had. Like, what's your tournament like that, Will? Have you
A disaster tournament?
Yeah, is there one that comes to mind? Or
So the weird thing for me over the last few years is it's actually been an extremely long time, 5 or 6 years. I know that's inflated a little bit by the social distancing era where we were not playing in tournaments. But if I'm gonna tell my sob story, I'm going to inflate that number as much as I want. And it's been like 5 or 6 years since I won a multi-day Scrabble tournament. But in that span, I've come in second and third and fourth. Like, I've had very few outright tank tournaments. So this is like that classic, situation of, like, in pro sports, you get asked, would you rather win the Super Bowl and have your team be terrible for 10 years, or would you rather be consistently good for a while but never win? And some people have different opinions about that. Wellington playing Tenon here. What an interesting choice. I'm not sure what he's thinking about. We can try to suss that out. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I had a total disaster tournament, but it's also been a while since I actually hoisted a trophy of any kind, Jason. So there you have it.
Yeah, I feel like, especially with Ben having such a bad week, it feels like, Ben either wins it or finishes in the bottom half. I know he struggled in Albany as well. Again, Ben is a great player and more a function of the tiles, but you are kind of the opposite of that, where you're just consistently coming in second and third. You just need to mid out your luck a little bit differently. If only it was that easy to request that.
Yeah, I agree. So Enoch not playing Kibitz, this has to be a miss, I can't imagine. So that's a reasonable, a play to miss. Not the easiest word to generate if you're not even thinking about looking at that K at the base of the board. And probably Enoch is also thinking, oh, I'd rather not empty the bag and get bingoed out on. So you're thinking about what plays can I find that are only a couple of tiles, and Zoes, which is his play, definitely fits the bill. But yeah, Kibitz for 80 plus would have been preferred there. But it's all good. Enoch's going to win handily here, almost no matter what. Could we somehow see the newly added Baiju? It's unseen to Wellington. That would kind of be fun to see. Baiju. I don't think it's going to fit anywhere. That would be cool to see.
Yeah, I was going to say Peter is actually very close to fitting with 5 underlaps. It would make ATEETNE. Just the problem is the POR and the INE. So I did wonder if that's what he was maybe trying to do there, trying to set really hard to make a 4, or 5 tile overlap there. So not exactly sure what he was going for. Maybe just trying to stay within hailing distance and give himself that 4 overlap option, plus potentially something from the K or Y. A little surprised that Enoch missed Kibitz. Not totally stunned. It's one of those, I like to say it's a word, like we know it because we use it in conversation. But if you don't use it in conversation that much, I would assume that Enoch has studied all the Z6s. But something that's certainly understandable to miss given the circumstances. If it's not a word that you use perhaps as commonly in conversation as you or I would.
Yeah, definitely an element of subjectivity to what counts as a word for people. I do feel like kibitz is right on that line of I would typically expect people to know that word, especially because our old favorite, the Internet Scrabble Club, ISC, uses it as a key term of what to do when you're spectating a game. For the record, nobody should be using that website. Definitely Woogles.io. If you're out there still using Internet Scrabble Club, please migrate yourself on over to Woogles.io. The Scrabble
Enoch's
World,
also too young. Enoch's too young to remember ISC.
but no slight. Let me just say, if you are on ISC playing Scrabble, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for playing Scrabble. I didn't mean to be rude, but just give it a shot. Just give Woogles a shot. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, Wellington, one in the bag. What can he possibly do? Would he end up playing pop or something, knowing that it's going to be difficult to block that? Oh, and wow, literally as I say it, he's going to do it. What is he even going to pick, though? If he draws an I, does that even give anything? I'm not sure if he actually has that much that he can hit here, Jason.
Yeah, I'm looking it up myself. Maybe something from the K or the Y.
Yeah, I think right. I think oddly, fishing the E might be the way to go, so that you could play tepid or somewhere. That doesn't feel great either, and it's very easy to block. The thing about pop that's nice is that you've got all the last E's as a hook. There are no hooks that Enoch could have here, but that doesn't matter if you can't actually draw into a word that plays there. So yeah, tough one. And ultimately, it is very academic as well, because we know that Wellington is going to draw the J, which is not typically good for your bingo chances when you do that. So yeah, good on him to try as hard as he can to come up with a way to cut the spread here. But the J is coming for him, and that's going to be that.
I mean, I guess if he does end up playing off the P, then he draws the J and he can play Jighere there, but it's not going to be enough to win, but it at least will cut some spread here. Or at least force Enoch to block it, which he should be able to do.
That's a good point. That is a good point. So could be the best he can hope for. Sometimes you're not necessarily going to go for the bingo, but just for whatever the best scoring play that you can manufacture might be. Now Wellington has deep lined up on the rack. Not even sure. Is that going to just play up here potentially? I give him credit for using his time here. This is the last game of day 3. I think it's definitely worth noting that stamina starts to be a factor for most of us, but Wellington famously training for Scrabble for many years to be able to withstand fatigue and play his best no matter what. That was the story as I attempted to tell in one of my favorite videos I've ever made about Scrabble in Nigeria. Wellington training by playing 24 hours of chess before starting his Scrabble preparations to get ready for the World Championship. That is dedication that few could rival.
Yeah, as an aside, it is... he's going to go depth there, but as an aside, it is somewhat disappointing to me anyway that your mini documentary on Nigeria I think only has like 40,000 views. You put a lot of time and effort into that, and it's a really good look. So if you have not seen that yet, people in chat, watch it tonight, save it on your to watch later playlist, and give it a watch, because I predict you will not be disappointed.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't necessarily view view count as my metric of success for that video. I would say what I feel is that all of the players from Nigeria and the African continent more broadly, the reaction they had to that video makes me feel like it was a smashing success, no matter what the view count was. So I feel very good about it regardless. And yeah, it was a fair amount of work for sure. I would love to do other videos like that about some of the other great Scrabble playing cultures in the world. Thailand, Pakistan. I hesitate to say North America because that would be a bit of a mess of a video right now, but who knows? Maybe I would tackle that subject at some point. So Wellington playing Depp, drawing the J, and Enoch playing Dewey to try to save Tibia on his rack. Nice idea. So I'm not sure where else Tibia plays than the top of the board, but seems like a nice thought.
It plays off of Dewey, making do it.
Oh, even better. So 2 outs, 1, 2, nice call. So that's a nice, for some reason, that's not the optimal sequence according to the engine, but it looks quite nice to me.
I was going to say, what other out and two is better with an A, 3 eyes, and a U?
Yeah, let's see. What is the engine saying? It's saying that playing Kuia, Kuia, would have been better. I'll try to figure out why that is. It's because I know why. It stops this. Yeah, it's just much better against the J. It would force Wellington to take way fewer points from the J, and saves you bit on your next turn. So as it is, the sequence was Dewey, Jure, and Tibia at the base of the board. So let me just get that all entered in so that we can see the final score. It was a correct play by both players. Final score, Enoch Nwali, 485, Wellington Jighere, 394. So a tough end to the day for Welly and a good one for Enoch, but pretty slugfest like game here for the players. A lot of bingos. Maybe the decisive situation of Showgirl not being spotted by Wellington in the mid game, and no such issue for Enoch as he nailed everything that he had to.
Yeah, very well played game from Enoch, and something tells me, do I want to listen to this? I feel like Wellington is probably looking up and seeing that he missed Showgirl.
Yeah, maybe that body language suggests that he's saying, "Oh,
played this one." But I said it didn't look like. Showgirl. Showgirl. When I played this, Showgirl. Yeah, I didn't do that. Let's move. I had Oxland leaving E. Would you play it? Oxland. Well, I played it on leaving the Landy. No, I consider that it changed. I consider it's not bingo. I mean, you have my bingo, right? What about it? The fact that it changed was what influenced my going shots. I missed something at that point. Yeah, risky bit. It's a risky bit. We missed the bit. I think there's pizza.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the players realizing a couple missed opportunities, but overall, very well played game, as you would expect between these two extremely high level players, especially in round 21, the final game of 3 full days of play. And they've got another full day coming their way tomorrow, Jason. So they better rest up, get something good to eat here.
Yeah, just noticed they kind of went over Oxland versus Ox, so Wellington did see Ox, but Oxland would have actually given Immolate, I think, as a double. So maybe kind of justifying Wellington's decision to play short with Ox in response to the exchange too. Yeah, good game on the whole. Obviously Wellington looking up that Growlish rack, I feel like he probably had a sense that there was something in there that he wasn't seeing, and that was the first thing he was going to look at, and he'll remember Showgirl from now on.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just funny that the way that works, right? Like he probably had some neuron somewhere buried deep in his brain of maybe guessing Growlish on some kind of anagramming quiz at some point, but couldn't quite connect it to the real world, the real word in there. Excuse me. So yeah, tough one. It happens to the best of us, except maybe not the very best of us, as I know we're speculating in the chat what happened in his final game with Nigel Richards, of course, who we watched for the vast majority of the day. I'm not seeing the result just yet. He sits at 19-1 going into his final game of the day with Ori Swift, certainly a very strong opponent. But if Nigel wins that game, he'll move his record up to 20-1 through 3 games of play. Just mind-boggling stuff, Jason. I'm sure we're going to get a chance to catch up with his progress tomorrow and see if he can bring it home early.